Yeah.
Actually, doesn't that gives you an idea of, like, you know, we want to have full day for work, full energy for work, but not for the worship?
Yeah, but you've got to be practical. You have to do the job. You've got to get paid. So, unless you take the holidays off, and then
that's why I'm just thinking, you know.
I said you've got to know your body.
Yeah.
And you know what you've got to be more in tune with. And this is another thing I forgot to do about fasting. One of the benefits, this is from a more somatic aspect, is one of the benefits of fasting is you're in tune with your sensations because I've talked about the power of sensations and tuning into your body. And this comes back to your questions to me. I'm going to come back to this. When you're fasting, as I said, I've spoke about this in the talk I gave on prayer, is that your brain's triune. It's got three aspects to it. You've got your cognitive faculty, your thoughts. You've got your limbic area, which deals with emotions. And you've got your brainstem that deals with sensations. And when we said we were talking about sensations, sensations is like heat, heaviness, lightness, tingling, not anger. That's not a sensation, that's an emotion. So when we actually bring ourselves into the world of sensations, it enables us to have far more control over our emotions and our thoughts. So if we get caught in our thoughts, he hates me, she hates me, he said this, why'd they say this? Oh, that's just a very tiring experience to be in. It's a circular, it just drains you. So instead you say, well, this thought, what's it make me feel like in my body, this thought, when I feel this? And you track sensations instead of getting caught in thoughts. Then you'll realise you've gained much more control over them, and you don't label them, because a lot of things people do, there's a lot of things we think people are doing and acting. They're not. There's no reality to it. It's all in our head, and emotions as well. If we get tuned into emotions, anger, frustration, what happens? We become completely consumed by them, and we act on impulse. But when we track, I'm feeling anger. Where do I feel that anger in my body? And I track it as a sensation. You don't get overwhelmed by it. And fasting is a very powerful tool to be in tune with your sensations, because you're hearing all sorts of things going on down there, and it's not an emotion, and it's not a thought, it's a sensation. I'm feeling this, this. Tune into that. Now, what's interesting is that when we tune into that sensation, we label it with an emotion or a thought, don't we? So there's your tummy going rah, making all sorts of sounds. You'll say, oh, I feel really uncomfortable. I feel, that's an emotion now. I feel really tired. You're labeling a sensation. And then you'll think, oh, that means I'm really hungry or so forth. That means I've got to eat. Now you're labeling it with a thought. How do you know that sensation is really telling you you're hungry? A rumbling tummy could be saying, thank God he's not piling on all that food, I can relax. So a sensation's not you can't judge a sensation unless you put an emotion to it or a thought to it. So I used to do that in Ramadan. When my stomach's grumbling, I say, yay, it's like happy. Instead of thinking, yes, it must be very unhappy, but don't worry, my little butter, I'm going to feed you. At sundown, I'm going to give you a good time. Okay? Yeah, biryani's coming. So instead, you're interpreting what tummy's doing. So tune into the sensations. Now, the biggest problem in Ramadan is people get so spiritually focused that they abuse their bodies a lot of the time. Like you'll see the uncles and aunties really do this, where they're diabetic and they refuse not to fast. Now, they're not doing themselves, they're abusing their bodies. You've got the Auntie G that's basically knocking out so many prayers, she's actually hurting herself. And so, but when we tune in with sensations, we know what our bodies can take and what they can't. And so it's really important that in this day and age people become more present in their bodies, so they know when they can push themselves and when they can't. And generally people push themselves when they can't, when they're not in their bodies. They're in their heads saying, they're listening to the subconscious thoughts of, you're not doing enough. You should be doing this. Why are you doing 20? Are you Salafi or? Rather than, this is what I can handle. Okay, so, and that's far more important. You personally have to be more in tune with yourself of what you can handle.